Hey guys, welcome in to the Sportscast here. Joe's Brian. We got your week 4 takeaways here, and I'm going solo edition as Craig, excuse me, is off on some training adventure with his job. So you got me tonight. We're gonna give you I'm gonna give you a couple takeaways from week 4. Talk about a couple games and go from there. This is the Sportscast, your weekly sports podcast where we talk about mostly football right now since it's football season, and we give you any headlines or takeaways or previews of the weeks going into next week. Come follow us tonight. Show is not live. Friday nights we do a live show. Come join us on YouTube, get into the conversations and into the comment section, and we will chat it up with you guys. And thank you guys for the follows, and continue liking, sharing, and all of the good stuff. Week 4 is here, gentlemen, and I can't believe it is come and pretty much passed. We're headed off to week 5 as we get into Thursday Night Football and next Sunday, but seems like it just started. We haven't done our power rankings yet. I'll wait till we'll probably do that on Friday. I want to get into our power rankings with the guys and go from there. But the game we've got to talk about is the Packers-Cowboys game. It is the game of the week, if you may. Green Bay travels to Dallas, never lost in Dallas, and still have never lost in that Texas Stadium because they tied 40-40 in overtime. This was a excellent game to watch, back and forth, overtime, and I was at the game. I'm a big Packers fan. If you can't tell, you must be not watching me on YouTube. You must be listening to the podcast maybe, but not physically watching me. There's Packer stuff on the background, and I'm a Packer fan. If you know me, you know that as well. We go to the game because I take the wife to the game. I bought tickets, and she was excited. I was excited to share this with her. She knows I'm a big Packers fan. She follows Green Bay just through me, right? And I believe a lot of wives do that. So hats off to the wives out there that take time to try and get into sports with your hubbies. We appreciate it. So she told me, I want to watch the Packer game and Cowboy game with you. I decided to go to the game. I got some tickets. I said, babe, I did a thing. I bought some tickets. We went, and we had a really good time. And it was back and forth. We scored a touchdown quick and easy, 7-0. We scored another touchdown, thinking, okay, here comes the route. They get a block field goal, a block extra point, take it back for 2 points. That we give up 16 points in the second quarter. We go into halftime down. We should not be losing this game at this point. We led in almost every statistical category that you could lead, and we were losing at halftime. We had a strip sack fumble on us before half, right at our own, basically 12-yard line, and they scored to go in there. And then we put up 17 points in the fourth quarter. They put up 14, and then the field goals in overtime. And Matt LaFleur cost us this football game. Our defense didn't play well at all, and I talked to Ryan, a buddy of mine. He's been on the show before, big Cowboys fan, and I thought Schottenheimer called a good play. He called a game plan to take our pass rush, our dominant pass rush, out of the football game. It's pretty much non-existent as they kept Micah at bay and they kept Rashawn Gary and Van Der Esch, and Cooper had a really bad game, and they were able to run the ball on us. We were able to run the ball on them. It was really an offensive slugfest, and both quarterbacks played lights out. Dak Prescott played one of the best games of his career, and it ended in a tie. And I think LaFleur cost us. We got in the overtime. We stopped them, held them to a field goal. Micah Parsons' sack was the one that kept them from scoring a touchdown there. I think he scores if Micah doesn't track him down from behind. They kick a field goal. The lackadaisical offense. We were driving down the field, and then it was 4th and 7. And I told the wife, I said, grab your stuff. They're probably not going to get this. They get it. We carry down the field. We're moving the ball a wheel pretty much in the overtime once we got past that 4th down. I'm yelling because we are letting way too much time off the clock. We have a timeout or 2 timeouts, and they're just lackadaisical. And we take one shot at the end zone. That was it. One shot at the end zone. We didn't get it. There was luckily 1 second on the clock, which roughly, there's a lot of people that said that 1 second shouldn't be there because I didn't go back and watch it live on to the television yet. But there was a lot of people that said that 1 second hang on there for longer than it should. Who knows? We almost didn't get a chance to kick the game time field goal. We kicked the game time field goal and we tie. And we all walked out there disappointed. And usually when you walk out of a football game, there's some trash talk going on. And a lot of times it's the Cowboy fans trash talking to Packers fans because they lost, and we get to laugh at them, and it's fun, and we have a good time. But we walked out of the stadium, and it was quiet. And no one really knew what to say. We were disappointed, and we had no clue what to say to anybody. And I was telling people we both sucked equally. Our defense both sucked as bad as the other. 40-40 was a tie, and here we are. So I think the Packers had a humbling experience against Cleveland, and I wouldn't say this was a humbling experience by any means, but the defense definitely got humbled in the secondary. And it's really true what we talked about on the show, we've talked about on the radio, or what was talked about on the radio. I don't think the Packers secondary is that good, right? It's not that great and dominant that we rely on that pass rush to where the point where quarterbacks have no times. They're making hurried decisions, and our secondary benefits from that. So when that pass rush doesn't get home, like it's been getting home, the secondary has to try and cover longer. Valentine got murdered by Pickens. He's making him look like fools. Nate Hobbs, we got from Raiders, looked like trash. Secondary is getting eaten up. It was just not a good outing for our defense, and it is what it is. We got to move on from it, but that was a tough game there. The Steelers pretty much dominated the Vikings overseas in Ireland. They gave up 15 in the fourth quarter for a comeback. Didn't really happen. They hammered Carson Wentz 7 times. And my other takeaway is the Eagles are the best team in football. And in the beginning of the season, I thought the Packers were on that level, and I've come to terms that they're not. It's the Eagles are the best team in football. They're the best team in the NFC, definitely. And this is a team that find ways to win. They go to the Bucs. They play they're dominating the Bucs. They're up 24-6 at halftime. Bucs get into it in the end of the game. They score 14 points in the fourth quarter, but Eagles just find a way to get it done. And it doesn't matter if Antonio Brown gets not Antonio Brown. Wow, I'm living in the past. It doesn't matter if A.J. Brown gets one pass thrown to him, 9 passes thrown to him. He has a good game or not. Saquon goes off or he doesn't. They find ways to win. They block a punt here, take it back for a touchdown. They're scoring on their defense. They are finding different ways to win, and that's what makes teams scary. Is when you don't have to rely on just one part of it. It's relying on the whole team. Today, we need the defense step up. So the next day, it's A.J. Brown, and then you got Saquon, and then I think they lose to the Cowboys if it wasn't for their quarterback being able to run the ball like he did and picking when to run the ball and not. The Eagles find ways to win. Special teams, defense, it doesn't matter. They find ways to win. And that's just the bottom line. You cannot argue that. I will sit here and tell you that I don't think Jalen Hurts is that great of a quarterback, but he finds ways to win. And you can't argue that. They are the number one pick. They are the number one team in the NFL right now, and I don't think it's even close. So that's one of my takeaways is that they are the number one team, and it's them and then everybody else in the NFC. I would like to think the Packers are up there. The Lions are probably up there. The Rams are probably up there. They took care of business. They beat the Colts. I told you this guy's was going to be the game for the Colts to prove that they're legit. They hung in there. They only lost by a touchdown. So we'll see what happens going forward. How about the Giants? You know, we talked about it, that Jackson Dart was starting, and sometimes that can give your team some motivation, put a little spark in your step. They go out and they beat a very good Chargers football team. They're 3-1 now. The Giants are 1-3, and we'll see what happens. I don't think the Giants are going to go and win a bunch of games, but if Jackson Dart can be good enough, then at the end of the day, maybe, just maybe, this sparks a little bit of hope for the Giants and the fans. Unfortunately, they lose Malik Neighbors with a torn ACL as he was running and he jumped back to get to the ball and blew his ACL out. He will miss the rest of the season, unfortunately, for the Giants. Rams take care of business. The 49ers lose to Jacksonville as they get their quarterback back. Ravens get manhandled against the Chiefs. Lamar, again, cannot beat Mahomes in Kansas City. And bad news for Baltimore. Lamar's out 2 to 4 weeks with an injury. And that division, man. And who called it? Look, I got the receipts. Go back and listen to the episodes We talked about it before the season started. I thought I was one of the only ones that thought the Ravens were going to have an off year and have a bad year this year. They're 1-3. Their quarterback's injured now. They could finish strong, but the receipts are proven right for me so far this season with them. I had the Bengals winning that division. That didn't probably not going to work out there with Joe Burrow as the Broncos manhandled them 28-3. I had the Bengals win the division. I might be wrong. I also said the Steelers will make the playoffs. That's looking like to be on track so far. We shall see. And the Ravens have an off year. I hit that right on the dot. Falcons beat the Commanders. Now, I feel bad because Jaden Daniels ain't there. They got Marcus Mariota, who played very well last week. They were 130-0 against the Panthers. They come up this week, and they lose. Sorry, my bad. The Falcons lost 30-0 against the Panthers last week. They come out. They look better this week. They beat the Commanders. The Commanders won last week, but without Jaden Daniels, but they couldn't get the job done this week. So we'll see when Jaden Daniels comes back. My receipts are right though on the Ravens. And let's see. Let's go to week 5. Let's see who Thursday night football is. It's the 49ers against the Rams. Ought to be a pretty good matchup. They're both 3-1. The 49ers are finding ways to win without Brock Purdy. They bring Brock Purdy back in, and they lose on Sunday. Very disappointing. The Rams handle business. They should be 4-0 right now, but they blew a 19-point lead to the Eagles, who keep finding ways to win. And so they sit at 3-1. Should be a good game, divisional game. These two will be fighting for the division. I picked the Rams to win this division this year. Just think they're the better football team, but the 49ers are hanging on tight. And again, they are dealing with a bunch of injuries, which is no excuses. It's just the cold, hard facts. My team has a bye week, an early bye week. I hate the early bye week. And then we'll get into the prediction stuff further down the road. Or not the prediction. We'll get into our predicting the top games of the week on Thursday or on Friday. We will give you our power rankings on Friday and tell you about that. I'm sure we're going to want to hear Craig's conversation about the Cowboys and Packers tie. So we'll get into all that on Friday. Looking forward into next week's games in week 5 already. Absolutely crazy. We're talking about week 5. The Major League Baseball playoffs have started. The Boston Red Sox handle business tonight, and they beat the Yankees in New York 3-1. But baseball is here. The playoffs. Let's look at the bracket real quick here. All right. The bracket goes as followed. In the NFC, we got the Reds playing the Dodgers. You've got the Padres playing the Cubs, and then the Brewers and Phillies are waiting the first round bye. And then you have Yankees, Red Sox, we just talked about, waiting to go play, I believe, the Blue Jays or the Mariners. And then you got Cleveland and Detroit. And interested to see there's Cleveland finish the season, one of the hottest teams in baseball going into the playoffs. Detroit kind of fell down a little bit here. So the Bronx, Boston, and Yankees going at it, always a classic, usually when those two get together. And then Seattle and Toronto. Toronto with the number 1 seed, waiting for to see who they're going to play in the next round. So very interesting there, as playoff baseball is always entertaining. I got to get on here and I got to talk about Bruce Bochy. All right, Bruce Bochy, manager for the Rangers, absolute legend, is no longer the manager for the Texas Rangers. And I want to say thank you from the bottom of the Texas Ranger hearts, as I am a Rangers fan here. And you gave us something we will never had, and we might not ever see again here in Texas, is a World Series. And I want to say thank you from the bottom of our hearts, from the Texas Rangers and the Texas Ranger fans. And I've been a Ranger fan ever since I was a little kid. I used to watch Ranger games with my grandpa and my grandma, and they loved you and the Rangers, and winning a World Series for us was huge. And it's just, thank you, Bruce Bochy. You're a legend. You're a Hall of Famer. And if you don't go coach nowhere, I hope you're up in the front office for the Rangers. We offered him a position to stay with the team in the front office advisory role. And I thank you so much for bringing what you did to the Texas Rangers. And I believe I believe that's from every fan. I don't think many people can argue or have any much bad things to say about Bruce Bochy. I know the last 2 years were pretty disappointing. After we won the World Series, the year after that was so bad. And this year we just disappointed. We had a really good bullpen, a really good starting five rotation. It just the bats couldn't get going. And I think I like our general manager, Chris Young, and I like the fact that he has spent money in bringing in guys, and they've tried to do certain things to get us to win. They brought in guys that hit the ball until they came to Texas, and it just didn't go the way we planned. But it's no surprise for me that he's not here. That Bruce Bochy's gone apart in ways. I think they want to go with it in a younger direction. But we thank you, Bruce Bochy, from the bottom of our hearts. Like I said, we wouldn't have a World Series ring without you. And Texas thanks you. I'm looking forward to seeing who they bring in here because they got some pretty tough shoes to fill. Well, it's kind of a quick episode tonight. Only me on tonight, and that's okay, I guess. But I wanted to get on here and do this anyways. I don't mind going solo. Sometimes it's a little more difficult talking to yourself, but hey. All right, guys. Well, that's going to be the show tonight. I hope your team is meeting all expectations. Unless you're in my division, then I hope they're all sucking. Bears win this week also by a freaking blocked field goal because the Raiders can't kick a field goal or block for it, apparently. But anyways, all right, guys, let's show tonight. My week 4 takeaways will be live Friday night, every Friday night at 8 p.m. Central Time, Texas time. We will be live. We're going to give you our power rankings. We'll talk about the games, the top 5. We try and do top 5 games of the week coming into next week. And God bless, and remember to keep it outspoken.